Come and watch till the end. A dinner party outside a home begins the narrative. It is Nick's birthday. Nick's mom addresses his dad's lateness in her speech. Nick rises to cut his face-shaped cake. He is adorable and bikes to school. He did homework for someone at school. After handing the man the assignment, his girlfriend creeps up on him and asks if he can come to a party tomorrow night, but he claims he will be busy. Two men and a female attempt to acquire money from this person who owes them. Pete, Nick's closest friend, was scratched. Nick advises Pete to stand up for himself. Nick defends Pete when he claims he can't. He repays Pete and whispers, "He said, 'You are so broken, dude,' to Annie." Annie caught him after a few seconds. After punching him in the face, they wait to see the principal and have a chat. She tells him he is not better than her since he sells essays. He admits that he's a hypocrite. Then the principal comes and sends Annie home. Then he turns to Nick and tells him to stop wasting his time on lost souls like Annie Newton. "She has no future, you don't let us down," he says, and Nick's only reply is, "Can I leave now?" Then we see Annie back home. Her stepmother has made her brother dinner, so she confronts her about it. This causes an argument between her dad and stepmom, but Annie just goes upstairs and makes a sandwich for her brother Victor. Victor asks her if she'll be going out tonight, and she says yes. You can see the boy's mood change. Over at Nick's house, we see Pete arrive and tease him about getting beat up by a girl. Relatable. He now asks Nick about that same party, and Nick says he won't even be around by tomorrow. He'll be in London for the writers program. His mom doesn't even know, but he's going anyway. According to him, she's always trying to micromanage him and be on top of everything, but he's not going to let her have this one. Now we see Andy get in a car with her boyfriend Marcus, and they're off to rob a jewelry store, and he smashes the glass, grabs some jewelry, runs back to the Mercedes which Marcus just stole, and he drives off. The next morning, and he gets ready for school and is leaving with the bag. She ignored Marcus' request to leave the bag. He acted after she said he wouldn't. He dialed 911. A rat. Annie placed the bag in her school locker. Pete glared at her as she closed the locker. The officers checked her locker and discovered a jeweler. She was detained. She called Marcus. After the call, she leaves the station determined to avenge the person she was sure handed her in to the police. After Pete says farewell to Nick, we head to Nico's home, where his mom has learned about his London ticket. She confronts him when the airline calls to modify his travel schedule. She points out that he has had the ticket for weeks, so Nick is in his room getting ready to depart. He pockets a watch. Someone hits Pete as he runs. Annie's boys escort him to Annie. She hits him because she feels he has betrayed her. He confesses out of desperation. Nick asked his lady at the party if she wanted to fly to London with him since his flight was delayed. He hands her their ticket and wishes her well. He is not a snake. He believed Nick would have left the country by now. Pete exits the automobile and explains his actions, but no one is listening. He grabs Nick and demands, "Who is broken now?" "You are," Nick says. Nick has balls. They bury him after a couple more blows and a heavy kick to the face kill him. Nick's watch slips unnoticed. Before, Pete was forgivable. He informs Marcus. She says she applauded the man who sold her out, and he has a shotgun mark on his face because he knows it was not him. He is now wondering why she came to him knowing he was on parole. "Annie, why'd you come here?" he asked and sent her away. She feels betrayed. "Wait till you find out that he is the one who sold you out." She smashes some stuff in his workshop, gives him an ironic kiss, and leaves. Then, early the next morning, we see her burning her clothes from last night. You will not believe what we see next. Nick, he walks out of the woods looking clean and fresh, walks to school and sits in class. But no one can see him because he is invisible and relatable, so even though he is sitting right there and can hear everything they are saying, they use that opportunity to say some things about him, including his girl, who calls him pretentious and says he is always trying to make himself feel important. Then he shouts out to his mom. He can hear her talking to the detectives about him, but she cannot hear him. He is running home now. On his way, he clambers into someone in the school hallway, gets hit by a car, and gets run over by a truck. But nothing really happens in real life. He gets home and sees detectives all around his house doing everything to find him. He tries to put his mother out of her misery by telling her he is dead, but of course she can't. The romp is on the roof, questioning what she was doing last night, and Nick is there to monitor her lies. But he also finds out that Annie slapped him because she felt he ratted her out and pushes her off the roof, which does not work. The detectives take a search party out to the woods where Nick's body was dumped, and Annie calls Pete and tells him to be there. Nick hears that and gets visibly sick. He's in his room now, and he can see his mom come in and go through his stuff. She's reading a poem he wrote. He's reading along with her. His pet bird joins him in invisible paradise. He holds it in his hands, and after some seconds it disappears. As a revelation for him, he says, "I'm alive." And he runs straight to where his body was dumped. He's trying to get the search party to find him, but he's not having much luck with the humans. The dog, however, first seemed like he could see Nick, but he turned away at the last second. The dog helped find Nick's watch, though now Peter's reporting to Annie and the rest of the gang. He feels they'll soon be found out, so he says he'll go to report to the police, and he tells him if he reports he goes to jail too. Meanwhile, Nick is there listening to everything, and he now sneaks back into her house, and she's trying to pack up her stuff and run away. Victor wakes up and begs if she will go forever like Mom. He cries. This guy softens her rock-hard exterior. She wisely advises Victor not to be like her. She leaves when her dad instructs her to, but she promises to return and clap for her younger brother if something happens to him. Choppers and an ambulance join the woodland hunt. Nick has 2 or 3 days left, according to a specialist. Nick's torso and fingers move, proving he is alive. The cop Brian goes to speak with Marcus and asks him if he was with Annie on Tuesday night, to which he replies yes. He then asks him if he was with her the night before when she robbed the jewelry store, to which he replies no. Brian knows Marcus has been on parole for 8 months, but he does not stress that too much. He drops his card and tells Marcus to call him if he sees Annie because he wants to talk to her about a missing person. Nick is yelling at his mom and shaking her, spilling everything on the table and slamming a chair through the window, but none of it really occurs. His mom begins sobbing and yelling Nick's name a few minutes later. Marcus grabs Pete in the downpour and places a pistol to his chest. Marcus lies to Pete about the cops pursuing him. He shows Pete where the corpse was placed in the woods. The following day, Marcus attempts to fool Annie into going to a spot to clap her, but she uses something and phones Pete to go instead. She refused to wake up for Nick. Detective Kate pursued Pete. Pete is on the bridge with the 2 men as Annie watches from a distance, but Marcus arrives from behind her and places a pistol in her back, taking her to the bridge where the rest of the guys are and telling Pete to go home. He rushes home, happy to be asked. Marcus says they have to move fast because Pete has a tail, and he is correct. But the police are already here, and Ethan takes a shotgun for Marcus and points it at the officers, but they are surrounded now. But Annie has one heck of a survivor and climbs out and escapes. Peter Parker would be very proud while she is running away. Nick screams, "We'll catch you, Annie." And it seems like she heard him because she turns around and yells something, so Nick goes, "She heard me." She goes to a club and sells a ring that belonged to Marcus to some guy. After he pays her, she decides to stay back and do a little dancing. She takes off her hoodie and beanie and is now doing the signature white woman dance while Nick is just watching her the next day. Yet she leaves. She sneaks into school at night to place money for Victor in her locker. Nick tells her he is dying and she is the only one who can rescue him. He yells her name in her brain and she turns around but sees no one. She is unhappy, so Nick does not look while she showers. Harry will be ghostly and oversleeping or not sleeping at all. Well, now that we visit Annie and Nick's home, she is going through his old photographs and becoming sentimental. Nick is happy as his corpse decays in that pit. But Nick's mom destroys any romanticism, and he hurries out of the home and directly towards the woods to where they dump Nick's body and Viola. The body is not there. Nick tells Annie that someone moved his body and asks her to thank them. She sees the substances she found with Pete days earlier and realizes that Pete was here, so she goes after Pete at school. Pete tells her that Nick did not even rat her out in the first place, and he confesses that he and Marcus moved the body. She ambushes him in his car outside a police station. Then she takes him to a precipice and tells him to go on his knees for a role reversal moment. Then she points a gun at him while Pete is trying to self-delete. Nick is begging him not to do it, but Pete cannot even hear a thing. But here's the beautiful thing. While Pete is in that transition zone where he is not dead but not fully alive, he sees Nick, and they can see and talk to each other. Nick is now asking Pete where he moved the body at the same time, and he is asking Marcus the same question. They both answer at the same time. After they do, Pete's parents rush into his room and find him in the state he is in, and Annie just leaves Marcus and turns around to go find Nick. But not clapping him turns out to be a bad idea because Marcus stands up and shoots her. She does not die, though she has enough in her to shoot him and stand up and call detect. Kate orders the guards to seal the gates and search for Nick. Everyone rushes to Brian. They hurry him into an ambulance as Annie watches. She gets into her vehicle and blacks out while bleeding. In the evening, a policeman awakens her and orders her out of the vehicle, but she drives away. As predicted, they chase her to the hospital. Nick's mother watches doctors rescue him. Annie gets caught by the police, but Nick's voice in her thoughts whispers, "I need you, Annie, I need you," which motivates her. She accelerates past the police barrier. She takes her turn after parking the automobile. Naturally, the hospital where his body is being operated on, Nick's mother says you have nerve when she sees her. Nick tries to play peacemaker, but Mama can't hear you, so Annie has to do it all on her own. She says she just has to talk to Nick, but Nick's mom lands a slap on her face, and he then tells her that Nick is here, that she can feel him and hear him, that she knows what he wants. Of course, she doesn't believe her, so on Nick's directive, and he tells Nick's mom about that time she was in his room reading his poems and how he was with her, that she now asks Annie what she wants, and then he says she just needs to see Nick, she can help him, but his mom says no, and he hands for her gun and says she knows she can bring him back. She finally lets her go in, and he is now running her fingers through Nick's body. She apologizes to him and begs him not to go. She takes off her necklace, which once belonged to her mom, puts it in his hand while she joins him on the bed and snuggles with him. When she does that, the invisible neck disappears, and the real Nick wakes up and calls Annie's name, and he says she wanted to do one good thing, and Nick tells her she did, she saved him. Then Annie taps out. Then we see Victor playing with a toy plane, and Nick shows up and has a conversation with him. Victor says his sister died, and Nick says they should send her a message. Nick writes and flies Victor's brief message, "Hey Annie," aboard the aircraft. The end. See you later, sexy.
Jennifer talks to Jonas, who was Craig's best friend, and is very upset by his death. She tells him she was the last person to talk to Craig, and that his last wish was for her and Jonas to be together. Jonas agrees to go with her in Toma. Wroblewski hears Jonas screaming in the parking lot and thinks he is just crying, grief at first, but he soon figures out what is going on and goes into the bush to check it out. He finds Jonas's body being eaten by a deer. A couple of hours later, the cops pick up the body, and Jonas's dad says he will find and kill his son's killer. At her house, Needy is cooking while listening to the radio. She hears that Low Shoulder has become heroes because of the fire. Then, a mother comes into the kitchen and tells her that she had a dream that Needy was nailed to a tree, worried that she might not be able to be there for her daughter one day. Later, after taking a swim in the lake, Jennifer calls Needy to tell her she is having a great time day, and we see her burn her tongue without pain. But Needy hangs up on her after Chip calls her and asks her to see her at the park. When they meet, Chip tells her about Jonas' death, so Needy keeps him company to comfort him. Days continue to pass and the school keeps on mourning, except for Jennifer, who is as peppy as always. Their little town has become famous around the country, and the press couldn't get enough of their drama. The song that Low Shoulder played the night of the fire becomes a hit nationwide and almost an anthem in town. A month after the tragedy, Mr. Wroblewski tells his class that the band has accepted to come and play at the school's spring formal for free. They'll also be donating some of the profits of their new single to the families affected by the fire. Needy thinks they're scummy for using them as a publicity stunt and reminds everyone that she was there the night of the fire and knows the rumor of the band saving anyone is a lie, which causes her to argue with a classmate that is a big fan of them. Class ends before it can escalate, and Needy leaves with Jennifer, who is looking very sick. When Needy comments on it, Jennifer says it is wearing off. Suddenly, Colin walks up and asks Jennifer out, but she turns him down. When Needy says she thinks he is cool, though, Jennifer changes her mind and tells Colin to come by her place later. That night, Needy goes to Chip's to spend the night making love. In the meantime, Colin is driving to the address Jennifer texted him and is very confused when he arrives at an abandoned house that he must enter through. When he follows the sound of music, he finds a room with candles burning and Jennifer. Jennifer distracts him with kisses, but when her eyes change color, he steps back. Jennifer grabs him and says she needs him to be scared, so she breaks his arms and throws him on the floor so she can start feeding on him. Back to Needy, she starts to see blood while she is still close with Chip. The roof looks like it is leaking, and both Jonas and Jennifer look like they have been hurt. Chip sees her sitting nearby. At first, he thinks her groans mean she is happy, but he soon realizes Needy is too upset to continue, so she gets dressed and leaves in her car. In the middle of the road, she almost crashes into Jennifer, who is covered in blood again, and is now jumping on Needy's car window. Jennifer falls off when Needy drives back at a high speed though. Needy goes home and cries and dreams about Jennifer until she falls asleep on the couch. She wakes up a few minutes later and goes to her room, where she finds Jennifer's body, finds Jennifer waiting for her there, but she has no blood on her and is only wearing pants and one of Needy's t-shirts. Jennifer starts kissing her, and after some initial reluctance, Needy kisses her back. Jennifer starts touching her, and that is when Needy snaps out of it. Needy is freaking out about what she saw earlier, so Jennifer finally tells her the whole story of what is going on. On the night of the fire, Low Shoulder took Jennifer to the waterfall and tied her to the ground so he could give her to a monster in exchange for fame and success. The guys stabbed her while singing Jenny to her, and then they threw the knife into the river. For some reason, she did not die. Instead, she woke up and could not remember anything. Way to Needy. Since Needy is her friend, she could not hurt her, so after leaving her house, she went down the road and found Ahmet, who had gotten out of the fire, but no one knew he was still alive. So she took him into the woods and ate him. Jennifer knows that when she is full, she cannot be killed, and she shows Needy by cutting her arm and having the wound heal itself right away. Needy, who is upset, asks Jennifer to leave, and she does so by jumping out of the window, getting hurt. A few days later, Needy helps out at Colin's funeral, where his emo friends and his mother fight. Colin's school has a memorial for him, and students are taught about the buddy system and how to deal with sadness, but no one seems to care anymore. They have moved on. Needy hasn't, so she starts doing research in the school library's paranormal area. She avoids Jennifer and finds out that her friend is now possessed by a succubus, a demon that must eat flesh, because the rite went wrong because Jennifer was not a virgin. The only way to kill her is to put a sword through her heart when she is weak. When Chip talks to her about the upcoming dance, Needy tells him not to go and tries to talk him out of it. To tell him Jennifer is evil now, but he does not believe her. Needy says she will go to the dance, but not with him because it is not safe for them to be together now. When the night of the dance comes, everyone is getting ready. Chip's mom gives him pepper spray because she is worried about his safety after what happened to Jonas and Colin. Jennifer tries to cover up how sick she looks with makeup. Jennifer goes up to Chip at the park and tells him that Needy has been cheating on him with Colin. She starts kissing him, and soon he asks her to go somewhere else, so she does. Jennifer takes him to an empty pool house. Chip cannot kiss her anymore because it feels strange, so Jennifer throws him in the pool and starts shaking him. Needy, on the other hand, feels something on her lips and figures out that Jennifer has Chip. When she goes to his house, his mom tells her that he cut through the park to get to Needy, goes down that way, and finds the bouquet he bought for her on the ground. When Chip calls for help, Needy goes to where he can hear him and goes into the pool. Chip goes to Needy's house to give him his pepper spray, but when he gets there, Jennifer has already started to eat him. Needy jumps into the pool, which makes Jennifer run away from Chip. When Jennifer gets close again, she sprays her eyes, which makes her throw up on them and float out of the pool. Chip and Needy also get out of the pool. Needy tells Jennifer she has always been a good swimmer, a bad friend, and insults her in various ways. Jennifer intends to attack her for this, but as she comes closer, Chip impales her with a pool skimmer. It's not enough to kill her though, so she just leaves through the window while Chip dies in Needy's arms. A few moments later, Needy is back in her house, thinking about what happened and deciding on a plan. After changing into clean, dark clothes, she goes to see Jennifer, who is at her house going through the school yearbook to choose new victims while looking sick because she couldn't feed. Needy breaks in by smashing a window and attacks her with a precision knife, but Jennifer has enough strength to fight back and even levitate a bit. She bites Needy on the arm before she cuts a cross on her stomach, and after some struggling in the air, Needy tears off Jennifer's matching friend necklace, causing her to let go of her and fall on the bed. Needy lands on top of her and stabs her in the heart, effectively killing her, but she's caught in the act by Jennifer's mother. Back in the present, Needy tells us that if you are bitten by a demon and survive, you gain some of its abilities. Needy can levitate now, so she uses that power to escape solitary confinement through the window. then uses super strength to simply walk through the grills outside. She makes her way to a road next to a river, where she finds Nicole's knife and the objects scientists have thrown into the waterfall. As the sun rises, she manages to hitchhike a ride to Madison, where Low Shoulder is staying in a fancy hotel. The band is living the best life now with fans, money, and drugs. That is, until Needy finds them and murders them all. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Click this video to enjoy another amazing movie. Don't miss out on its shocking ending.
Hi, sexy. Come and watch till the end. New York City author Jennifer Hills wrote her second book in Louisiana. She picks up the cabin keys at a store on the way. Earl gives her keys and directions at the store. Jennifer's vacation is for writing Serenity. Jennifer stops at a gas station to seek directions when she gets lost. Johnny, an attendant, directs her there. Jennifer accidentally presses her panic button, scaring Johnny. His buddies Andy and Stanley giggle as he spills a pail of fluid. Johnny looks embarrassed as Jennifer drives off. Jennifer arrives at the cabin, her home for months, after a lengthy drive. She promptly unpacks, ready to move. After days of book writing, Jennifer rests by the lake the next day. She ignores strange sounds. The sounds return, making her nervous. Jennifer checks the shed across the way and discovers only poison vials. She washes her clothing after spilling her drink. An unknown individual is surreptitiously filming her half naked. The next day, she runs into the woods and finds an abandoned cottage. Jennifer peeks inside out of curiosity. She keeps going because nothing interests her. She calls Matthew, a plumber, after finding her sink and toilet blocked at home. He stutters due to mental illness. Jennifer kisses Matthew after he restores her bathroom. Shy Matthew flushes and hurries out. Andy, Stanley, and Johnny like killing birds in the woods. Stanley, who loves randomness, records the savagery. Matthew comes shortly after and tells the group about Jennifer kissing him. Johnny doubts him, but Stanley proves it by presenting a video of her in underpants. Jennifer is concerned by the scary home sounds at night. She discovers just a dead bird outside her door. She sees the group picture on her laptop when she returns inside. She is horrified until she realizes they are inside. Johnny, Stanley, and Andy harass Jennifer, scaring her. Johnny brings Matthew inside to join their plot when Stanley calls. Johnny leaves the others in threatening and drinking Jennifer. Johnny becomes angrier when she refuses, forcing her to comply. He then pulls Jennifer closer and asks for her teeth. Johnny draws a revolver and kisses Jennifer. While Johnny watches, Andy does the same with booze. Jennifer pepper sprays Stanley after hitting Andy's leg. She can flee to safety in the woods. Jennifer and Earl encounter Sheriff Storch. Jennifer tells the guys tearfully about her previous attack. Storch's badge reassures her that she is protected. The sheriff tells Earl to go home because he will take Jennifer to the cabin. Storch then drives Jennifer back to the cabin to face the gang. He boldly shoves them out while searching the cabin. Storch discovers Jennifer's joint and smashed beer bottle. Despite her pleadings, he interrogates Jennifer. He thinks she should not lie about the guys he has known since childhood. Storch then pats Jennifer while facing the window. As the lads enter, he unlawfully touches her, exposing Storch as the group's collaborator. Storch instructs Jennifer to kneel with a shotgun. Johnny lifts her up and orders Matthew to undress. Jennifer is at risk of death with 5 callous guys. Matthew forces himself on Jennifer while Stanley records. Jennifer escapes the cabin despite being weak. She finds the gang again in the woods and suffers more. Andy submerges Jennifer's head twice in a puddle. Storch strips and forces himself on her while she lies on the ground. Jennifer wakes up covered in mud when the men turn on her. Jennifer rises again to search the woods for aid. She reaches the bridge as the 5 guys pursue her, still unhinged by her ordeal. Jennifer jumps into the river just before Storch shoots her, disappearing. They cannot find her corpse. Instead, they erase evidence, notably Stanley's recordings. Storch arrives home to his wife and kid, Chastity, after a busy day. He stays home without regret, as if nothing had occurred. The following day, Storch brings the cabin keys to Earl's store, stating that Jennifer fled without warning. The gang lives normally for weeks. Matthew is the only one who regrets staying in the woods. He sees Jennifer eerily gazing at him. Matthew hides his eyes in terror and thinks Jennifer is haunting him. Stanley runs toward Andy and Johnny as they drink. He worriedly tells the voice that his camera was taken and that he retained the problematic footage. Johnny rages and beats Stanley for putting them in danger. Johnny hears sounds outside and finds a dead bird on his doorstep that night. He starts it before entering. He returns inside and hears it again, bringing a rifle. The dead bird appears again on his doorstep, unidentified. Johnny runs outside to discover Jennifer's shoe on the porch and attempts to track the sound again, but he fails. When Storch gets home, his wife tells him a delivery has arrived. He is pleased that his wife and daughter have not seen Stanley's tape. Storch races to meet the apprehensive group. Storch immediately threatens Stanley, believing he is pranking him. Johnny presents the slipper to protect his pal, accusing Matthew of everything. Storch gives Earl booze and shoots him while hunting. Earl observes Storch take Jennifer back to the cabin, making him a suspect. Matthew contemplates his activities in the cabin. Jennifer's voice calls him inside. Falling down the stairs knocks him unconscious. He awakens to discover Jennifer seated on the sofa. He sits near Jennifer and apologizes. Matthew clings to her in remorse, crying. Jennifer soothes him, then ties a noose around his neck. Despite gasping, Matthew apologizes, but Jennifer says it is not enough. The gang searches the woods for Matthew when evidence resurfaces. Andy and Stanley find him in an abandoned cabin after several minutes. Stanley searches for Matthew as Andy enters. He is shocked to find Jennifer smirking at him. Stanley jumps on her bear trap and cries for Andy, who is batted. Jennifer smacks Stanley, knocking him out. Jennifer ties Stanley to a tree and films him. She throws a dead rodent in his mouth, making him puke. Jennifer sets up the camera and uses fish hooks to keep his eyes open. Jennifer guts a fish and covers Stanley's face while filming. Crows peck him after smelling the fish's intestines. He bleeds to death when the birds devour his eyes. Andy wakes up bound to planks above a bathtub in the rundown cabin. As Jennifer checks on him, the tub starts filling. Andy begs her to let him go, but she wants to torment him as she did. Jennifer repeatedly submerges his head in water before adding lye and removing a board. Andy must struggle to keep upright but falls into the water. Andy's face burns, killing him. The next day, Jennifer visits Johnny's petrol station. She assaults him in a short skirt. She returns him to the cottage to wreak havoc. Johnny awakens naked, bound to the ceiling. Jennifer rips out his teeth with pliers, revealing his faults. Jennifer puts a pistol to Johnny's lips, as he did to her. He laughs, agitating Jennifer. She chops Johnny's privates with hedge clippers and puts them in his mouth. He dies screaming. Jennifer's last objective is Storch. The sheriff's family calls to say Chastity's instructor is at their house. Jennifer's phone greeting stuns Storch. He rushes home to see Chastity and Jennifer. Storch enters an empty playground without his daughter. He panics and goes back to the patrol vehicle, where Jennifer knocks him out. He wakes up in the cabin with a weapon within him. Jennifer brazenly discusses how great Chastity is and how he might abuse a lady. She pushes the weapon further, bringing the sheriff unspeakable anguish. Jennifer says Matthew is alive but unconscious across the room. If Matthew moves, the trigger string around his wrist will murder both men. Jennifer rejects Storch's plea for his life. Jennifer leaves the cabin, unperturbed by his screams. Matthew awakens, asking Storch to calm him. However, Matthew's mental handicap prompts him to panic and accidentally shoot them. Outside, Jennifer celebrates her retribution. The end. See you later, sexy. Hi, sexy. Come and watch till the end. Dot is deaf and mute. Disability keeps her alone. Since her single father died, Dot's godmother's family has cared for her. Her new godsister, Nina, does not detest Dot since she has never had a sibling. Nina is renowned at school while Dot is an outcast. Nina and her cruel dancers mock Dot about her illness in the opening scene. The guidance director asks Dot to lunch after seeing this. Dot says no and flees to a school restroom stall, her favorite location. She feels protected and less lonely by herself. Nina grabs her in a fury to go home. Nina's mom, Olivia, encourages her to make Dot feel at home, but she does not care. She does not owe Dot anything since she did not take her in. Paul, Nina's dad, discovers Olivia asleep in the living room. She is depressed and an alcoholic. Because of her medications, Paul puts her to bed. When he returns to supper, the girls are uncomfortably silent. He proposes learning sign language for Dot to reduce stress, but Nina cuts him off and leaves. Nina and her pals discuss things again during lunch the following day. Michelle, Nina's friend, mocks her virginity and 17-year-old age. She can date any man, but she is shy. Dot plays piano in the school's vacant music room. She can still play since she practiced while she could hear. Famous Connor hears her play and falls in love. He stares at her until his buddy advises him to stop. Dot sees Nina again in the restroom. Nina forces her to wear lipstick. Just when Dot believes they should come closer, she glances in the mirror and sees Nina dab lipstick around her lips on purpose. Dot misses her father and cannot sleep. She walks outside for air and finds Nina's bedroom door open. She sees Nina and her father Paul in bed. She hurries to her room, disturbed by what she finds. The next day during supper, Nina begs her parents if she may stay at Michelle's. Olivia advises her to depart despite Paul's objections. Nina rubs her foot on Paul's leg beneath the table to persuade him to release her. Paul persists. She contacts Michelle after his silence indicates agreement. Olivia's constant disagreements annoy Paul. He fights briefly before leaving. When Olivia is alone, Dot writes a message asking to go to the movies. Dot accepts Paul's offer of a ride. Nina and her companions in the theater's middle row are alone. The others stop Connor from talking to Dot when he sees her alone. Nina sympathizes with her but behaves indifferently. Dot watches her fall while she shuts her ears to be deaf. She pauses when Dot looks down at her. Dot thinks about Nina all night. When Paul descends, she seems asleep. He strokes her hair and claims to be ill. He appears to realize he is hurting his daughter, yet he cannot stop. He took Dot in, hoping she would keep him out of Nina's room, but it did not work. Next, Dot plays the piano alone at home. Nina watches her play from the corridor after school unaware. Dot curses when a piano wire breaks. Nina gasps as she realizes Dot has been listening. She lies and claims she just got home. The next day, Nina meets Dot for lunch. Nina tells Dot about her father's secret moment. Dot looks confused at her. She is testing Dot, but she is calm. She claims she will murder Paul at night with Michelle's pistol before leaving. She still does not get Dot's attention, but she is worried she is speaking the truth. She plays piano in the music room to forget Nina. She sees Connor peering at her through the door again. He prevents her from leaving when she feels uncomfortable. He invites her out to work on lab research. She reveals to him that the report is done, ruining his plan. The family is eating supper when Connor unexpectedly comes to the door. He invites Dot to discuss the lab report at the library. As Michelle enters, she reluctantly accepts. Nina mentioned Michelle's pistol, so Dot worries she is attempting to murder Paul. Dot and Connor are in a restaurant next. After briefly discussing the findings, he tells her how he feels about her. He imagines having sex with her. He believes she cannot hear him. Dot fears Nina did something horrible as an ambulance approached her home. She rushes home to find everyone safe. She then hears Paul undressing Nina. Dot damages a statue for Nina, who seems fed up with her dad. Paul retires to his room since the noise ends the thrill. Dot slips in and holds Nina as she falls asleep. Nina talks to Dot while ironing her cheerleading costume in the following scene. She burns a toy bear's face to prove she would murder Paul with the iron that night. Dot believes Nina is unaware of her hearing. Thus, she denies hearing her idea. Later, Nina and Michelle support the school basketball team. The coach benched Connor after a few minutes due to his poor play. Connor and Dot swim after the game. Connor talks about his sexual life, thinking she cannot hear him. Dot abruptly removes her top and makes love by the pool. Olivia advises Nina and Connor at home. She angers Paul by dressing her daughter like a harlot. Olivia undresses and wants Connor to sleep with her, but Connor is no longer interested. Nina arrives home after midnight, exhausted from cheering all day. Paul gets her a pocketbook and attempts to get close. Olivia moves about her room awake. She does nothing to stop her spouse, even though she seems to know. Nina's request to shut his eyes surprises Paul. When he does as she says, she brings a hot iron. Dot arrives home just in time to stop him from burning his face. Nina leaves, claiming pregnancy. Paul is petrified of parenthood. He gives Nina $1,000 for an abortion the following day. Nina then tells Dot she cannot murder him. The school dance is tomorrow. Nina lends Dot a dress. She tells the girls she lied about being pregnant while getting ready. She hopes to depart with $1,000. She hopes to earn a lot of money stripping in the new city. After telling the truth, she put lipstick on Dot again without clowning her up. Later, Paul discovers tampons in Nina's purse. He thinks she is lying about being pregnant since she has not had her period in 6 weeks. He presents the tampon and asks her to explain. He rejects Nina's lies. He hits her face and tries to get near her. Olivia ignores her daughter's anguished cries. Dot hears the screaming and wailing. She stops playing, pulls a piano wire out, and goes to her room. She ties Paul up with wire and shouts at him to leave Nina alone. She pauses, and he dies. Nina's astonished. Olivia rants at Dot for murdering her dad. Dot's speech surprises her more than her husband's death. Michelle rings the doorbell simultaneously to pick them up for the school dance. The females immediately changed and bagged their bleeding garments. To seem normal, they carry the bag to school. Dot dances with Connor at school, but she is distracted. She conceals the bag in the bathroom during the party. Olivia stares blankly at Paul's corpse in the bedroom. She was over him. Long time. She wishes she had saved her daughter from him. When Dot turns around, Connor is startled. She hears him. He also discovers that she knows everything unpleasant about him. She lied and invaded his privacy, so he believes she is insane. Dot apologizes, but is rebuffed. She concentrates on other things since she knows he will not give her a chance. She takes Nina from the lavatory to a nearby brook. They buried the garments in bag to dispose of the corpse later. Nina inquires about Dot's deafness. Dot claims she wanted to be like her deaf, silent father. The girls rush home and discover the ultimate surprise. Olivia is handcuffed as police surround their residence. Olivia tells them she murdered Paul. She apologizes to Nina too. Nina understands why she must apologize even if the police suspect she murdered her father. The girls watch as Oliva is driven away by the police in the last scene. The end. See you later, sexy.
Welcome to another sexy movie recap. Watch till the end. You won't want to miss the shocking and satisfying ending. The film begins with a janitor sweeping the floors and leaving. He investigates a locker room noise. He attempts to assist a fearful girl sitting on the floor, but another girl walks in and urges him to get out. Kyla takes yearbook photos afterwards. Chris, their new English instructor, attracts her. Kayla asks Riley if she may study in her home, hoping to get closer to Chris. After that, she starts taking more images of him. She returns home and finds her mother getting ready for a date with a guy and wearing a new dress. That night, are you enjoying this video? Click that sexy subscribe button. You would be helping me continue to create more sexy movie recaps just like this for you. Kyla dreams of Chris and pleasures herself. The next day, she goes to Riley's house and starts asking questions about her father. Riley says her mother cheated on Chris, resulting in a divorce and a transfer. Kayla also tells Riley about her father, who left her when she was 6. When Riley goes to the bathroom, Kyla heads straight to Chris's room and imagines herself with him. The next day at school, Trisha is still trying to use her charm on Chris, but Chris, being old school, does not catch her hints. After class, Trisha befriends Riley, and Kayla sees them together and feels jealous. She warns Riley that Trisha is dangerous, and Kyla claims that Trisha slept with a history teacher last year, which led to his replacement. Later that day, Kyla phones Riley and learns she will be 18 shortly. Kyla will help Riley host a birthday celebration at her place. She then asks Chris about his relationship and makes him stay the night since his clothing got soiled at supper. Kyla cannot stop staring at Chris, but she cannot watch her mother and Chris flirt, so she leaves for her room. She knows her mother and Chris will kiss to destroy their moment. Kyla pretends that someone was watching her change in her room and wants to be with her mother and Chris to avoid being laid. Chris tells her that Riley is dating Trisha despite her caution. Do whatever she wants. Riley joins them, and they depart for school. Kyla confronts Riley about her going out with Trisha despite her warning that Trisha is using her to get to her father, but Riley tells her that Trisha claims it was not her who had slept with her history teacher, but Kayla herself. Kyla denies the allegation and rudely behaves with Riley, forcing her to leave. Later, Kyla confronts Trisha and threatens her to stay away from Riley, but Trisha is not bothered by her and refuses to back down. That night, the next day, when Kyla opens her locker, she finds it full of the pictures she took the night before. She goes straight to Chris, who assures her that he will find the person responsible for this. Riley sees them and leaves them alone, after which Kyla and Riley make amends and apologize to each other. Kyla also admits that she slept with the history teacher, claiming she was manipulated. Kyla's mother is getting ready to meet Chris. Kyla finds Trisha's private texts on Chris's phone when he is in the bathroom. Kyla's mother says Chris utilizes his pupils. Her mother then fired Chris. Kyla is relieved that her mother is gone. She visits Chris in his vehicle. Are you enjoying this video? Click that sexy subscribe button. You would be helping me continue to create more sexy movie recaps just like this for you, contemplating what transpired. Kyla arrives and seduces Chris. She kisses him passionately until Chris caves. Kyla is glad she got what she wanted. Kyla sends Chor those texts. Chris resists Kyla's advances but caves in. They make love before hooking up. Riley is horrified when she sees them together. Chris attempts to stop her, but it is too late. Kyla discourages Chris from pursuing her by informing him that Riley is an alcoholic. He ignores her and finds Riley the following day. Riley tells Kyla's mother about school the night before. Chris attempts to reconcile with Riley, but she will not communicate. Kyla's mom hits Chris after class. Kyla informs her mother that she is old enough to date anyone and that she and Chris are in love. Kyla's mother confronts Chris and asks why. Chris apologizes to Riley and promises not to see Kyla. Kyla calling Trisha to meet before school the following day makes Riley forgive him. Kyla confesses framing Trisha and hits herself when she arrives. Trisha gets framed for breaking her fingers as Riley and Chris arrive. Kyla calls the police when Trisha strikes her. Kyla is hospitalized. Riley and Chris head to the hospital, where Riley informs Kyla that her father-daughter relationship is over. Kyla accepts and begs Riley to take over her yearbook responsibilities for a basketball game that night because her hand is damaged. Riley agrees. Kyla also requests one final farewell with her father from Riley. After Riley departs, Kyla promises Chris she will never leave him and that he will have to face her every day in class. Chris quits his job to avoid her. Kyla escaped school with a hospital knife. Kyla informs Riley that only one person can be in Chris's life. She then stabs Riley in the stomach and goes to Chris's class, where she puts the scalpel to his neck and tells him they are meant to be. Kyla then confesses that she deceived her prior instructor. Riley is alive and wants. Riley is astonished to learn that Kyla is alive after the police take them away in different ambulances. Months later, Chris and Riley have relocated and are excited to start a new teaching career in college, respectively. As Riley drives to school, we observe a hooded person, likely Kyla, emerge from concealment. Did you enjoy the video? Click that sexy subscribe button. You would be helping me continue to create more sexy movie recaps just like this for you. Now click this video to enjoy another sexy movie recap. You won't want to miss out on its shocking and satisfying ending. Sadie gives Cole the oak to come in with her eyes, but it looks like they say goodbye with a kiss. The mating season makes these two stop being such gentlemen, and on the way back home, they blow each other up beautifully in bed music. Cole cannot stop thinking about Sadie and reliving their first date. When he gets home, he tells his family about it. He says that Sadie is his missing half and that last night's date was great. When Maddie sees a picture of the two of them, she finds Cole's behavior strange and tells him not to show himself so much at the beginning of a relationship with someone who needs affection. His parents are happy about this, but they also ask him to be more. Cole's dad tells him to get some rest. He realizes that Sadie still has his asthma inhaler, so he uses his tracking device to find out where she is. To his surprise, he finds out that Sadie is now in London. When he tells his family about this, they say that Sadie's job may have kept her from responding to Cole's messages because she was on an unexpected mission. Cole's parents want him to go to London and surprise his dream girl. He agrees and rushes to London to impress her. In London, he tells the driver the whole story of how he met Sadie. Are you enjoying this video? Click subscribe. You would be helping me continue to create more sexy movie recaps just like this for you. The driver realizes that Cole is a fool for leaving his country and coming to London for a one-day affair. Cole uses his tracker to find out exactly where Sadie is. When he gets there, he is taken by people he does not know, and when he wakes up, he is in a secret base in the middle of nowhere. He is totally out of it because he has been given anesthesia. This man seems to have mistaken Cole for a man named Taxman, whose job it is to stop these people from doing their jobs, and is getting ready to hurt him. Cole tries to prove who he is and asks them to look at their passports to make sure. Torture. A man is sure of his prey and hits Cole. It seems that this man is trying to get the passcode of a gun from Cole by torturing him, but only the taxman knows the passcode. The head of the torturer is very angry and wants to get this information from the taxman so he can sell the gun. Cole finds out that she works for the CIA. She is a very skilled agent and kills many enemy forces. On the other hand, Cole is completely lost and scared. He barely leaves the cave and sees that he is in the Khyber Gorge in Pakistan. Using a bus, they try hard to get away from their enemies. Cole is also involved in this fight, and he makes his first kill with Sadie's gift, killing several enemies and painting his hand with their blood after a forced stop. In the middle, Sadie pushes a stunned Cole to keep going. Levesque goes to the cave, where the leader of the Wagner group shows him the leaked information about the taxman. While walking, Cole thinks all of Sadie's previous words are lies and blames himself for getting involved in these events because of her. At the end of this conversation, Sadie tells him to shut up and stay with her until she takes him to the airport, and then they part ways. Cole's situation is very complicated because the enemy forces still think he is a taxman and are trying to catch him alive to get the passcode for the weapon. After seeing the murder scene, Levesque tells them that this mission will either bring them money and power or kill them all in the end. So they must search for the taxman with all their might and arrest him. He brutally kills one of the survivors so that the other forces can use their weapons on Cole. Marco, who seems to be having trouble with Sadie, asks them out for drinks. Marco says that Levesque has the gun but does not have the passcode, and that in order to sell the gun, he needs both the gun and the passcode. This is why they are trying so hard to catch the taxman. When the argument between the three of them gets worse, Marco says that Sadie escaped during one of their missions together a few years ago, causing Marco to lose one of his arms. He says that he cannot be happy because he has a bad conscience. Sadie offers cash to Marco to get Cole out of the country and back home. After saying goodbye to Cole, she leaves. A short time later, Marco, who says the city is his and that he is safe, is killed by a bounty hunter. It turns out that Levesque has put $1 million reward on the taxman's arrest, so all the bounty hunters are looking for these two people. The bounty hunters kill each other one by one until no one else is a threat to their lives. She seems to have decided to give Cole to Levesque as a reward. After some boring talk, Levesque asks Cole to give him the passcode. With Sadie's help, Cole stops talking, and they all get on a plane to go to Levesque's trusted location in America. On the plane, Levesque tells his senior officer to get the passcode from Cole, or he will kill the plane and everyone on it. Are you enjoying this video? Click subscribe. You would be helping me continue to create more sexy movie recaps just like this for you. Sadie tells Cole to take the suitcase and jump out of the plane with just the parachute because she does not want to take the blame. Cole gets everything ready and gets off the plane with Sadie when she asks him to get off alone, but he saves Sadie's life anyway. They land on an island, and when Sadie comes to, she sees that Cole has made a shelter and taken care of her wound to save her life, and they even have the Aztec weapon with them. On Wagner's phone call with Levesque, he tells Levesque that he is lost again, but Levesque cuts him off. Sadie tells the CIA where she is, and they talk to her about the past and her family. Cole finds out that she does not have any family and that the CIA has trained her to live alone. But when she meets Cole, everything changes. Cole also thinks it is special that these events are the first record of him leaving his country. They put aside their differences and kissed on the beach. The next day, Wagner's forces fire on them, and when CIA forces arrive, he uses the confusion to steal Aztec's bag. In the meantime, Sadie decides to save Cole's life, and Wagner escapes. But Cole lives because of Sadie's actions. The agents take them back to the CIA headquarters, where they decide to convince Levesque to meet the taxman in person by giving him a part of the passcode. After meeting the taxman, they arrest him and capture Ast. Sadie tries to talk him out of it, because this mission will put his life in danger. He thinks it is important to protect his loved ones, and tries to get Sadie to make this a priority in her life for once. However, it seems that Sadie has given up on the mission because of her failure, and her bosses tell her to go home and rest. Cole must make this visit alone, without Sadie. Mr. Utami, the Aztec buyer, goes to Levesque and threatens to kill everyone if he does not get the passcode. He then decides to go to this meeting with Levesque, and if he does not get the passcode there, he will kill Levesque, the whole team, and the taxman. The mission starts, and Cole is put on the spot as bait. CIA agents get in touch with him and ask him to play the part of taxman. Well, the waitress leads Cole to the reserve table. Cole is worried because 3 people will protect his life while Sadie is far away, looking at the gift Cole gave her. When Utani and Levesque get to the hotel, Wagner kills Cole's 3 backups, leaving him alone. Cole tries to leave the meeting place, but because his family is in danger, he decides to go back to his desk and wait for Sadie. After the guests leave, Levesque tells Cole that the support forces have been killed and asks for the passcode. Cole tries to waste time, but Utami tells him that he needs the passcode right away, or he will kill the VEC and Cole at the same time. Levesque threatens him with a gun, but just then, Sadie Levesque knows that Sadie is really the taxman, and that Cole is just her boyfriend. Sadie gives the password, and the Aztec weapon pops up. The Utani employee puts the money right away into his account number. Levesque tries to scare Sadie into giving him the money, but Sadie will use her $10 million to pay the price for killing Levesque. Several bounty hunters show up at the hotel and take Levesque's gun because his boss is in danger. Wagner tells the war people to run away, and when Sadie steals Aztec, a shootout starts. Cole stops Sadie from getting shot in the middle of the fight because he is involved with Wagner, who is out of control after killing Utami and shooting the orbiter of a hotel. Levesque wants Aztec because he wants to catch Sadie. When Wagner hurts him badly, Cole kills Wagner brutally. He then tries to choke Sadie and gets the gun. Cole gets to the top of the tower as the spin speed goes out of orbit. Cole gets to Sadie and pushes Levesque away. He gets the Aztec, but after an impossible move, Sadie slams the hard object into Levesque and gets the Aztec. We see a romantic scene of this loving couple kissing in a beautiful place. Sadie has lunch with the Cole family sometime later, and they have a good time. Did you enjoy the video? Click subscribe. You would be helping me continue to create more sexy movie recaps just like this for you. Now click this video to enjoy another daily sexy movie recap. You won't want to miss out on its shocking and satisfying ending. Then the girl takes out the cult and begins to balance American's opening. Fire on Cross. The gunfight bursts out in the store. Wesley is stunned by a panic attack. He tries to run, but the strange girl holds him back. Then she takes out the corner shot device and starts shooting off the mirrors to limit the Cross's field of study. At this moment, Wesley takes the chance and runs outside. Cross tries to catch him in the van, but the girl slowly gets Wesley into her red Ferrari. The chase continues. The girl hangs through the windshield and fires at the van. Wesley and Jolie with her right foot drive the car and turns. The guy, meanwhile, admires the view. A police team blocks the street before our heroes. Having assessed the situation quickly, the girl jumps behind the wheel and makes the Ferrari skid. The wheels hit the drain, and the car flips, falling on the bus. After that, the couple restarts their tour of the night city, but that was too much for Wesley, and he goes faint. Wesley wakes up in what looks like a textile factory. He tries to leave, but all doors are stopped by some angry men. Then the girl from the store shows up. and Wesley frantically tries to convince. Are you enjoying this video? Click subscribe. You would be helping me continue to create more sexy movie recaps just like this for you. Man emerges with a gun in his hand. He gives Wesley a gun and tells him to shoot and hit a fly circling over a trash. Wesley looks shocked by such a request. Then the man makes the task harder and tells him to hit the wing of the fly. Instead, Wesley feels a gun pointed at the back of his head. The big guy behind says that if Wesley didn't shoot, he'd get shot. Instead, a panic strike makes Wesley's response so quick that he can track the movement of the fly's wings after shooting 6 bullets. Music. Wesley rushes to take his medicine, but the boss stops him and shows him the flies with their wings shot off. He throws away his meds and says his heart was beating at 400 beats per minute. His pituitary glands spilled a huge amount of hormones into his bloodstream, which made the reply several times quicker. This is not a fear episode, but the power he received from his father. Wesley thinks he's crazy and threatens him with a gun, asking to stay away. The man presents himself by the name of Sloan, and Angelina is Fox. Sloan says Wesley himself is crazy, working away at the building with such possibilities. Instead of freeing his power and using it, he gives him a chance to repay his father and kill Cross. This gun you're holding, and it belonged to your father. He could conduct a big chorus with it. Also, they moved all his father's money to Wesley's account after all that they let the poor guy go. The next morning, Wesley wakes up thinking that what has happened was just a dream, but in the bathroom, he's forced to come to senses by a gun that fell out of his pocket. He hides the gun in the toilet tank. Wesley goes to the nearest ATM and finds out that there are more than $3.5 million in his account. At work, Wesley studies articles about the murder of his father on the roof of a building. All of a sudden, the boss shows up and meets the guy nicely. Stage. I still don't have my billing report. She yells at him again that the study is still not ready, and he wastes time surfing the internet. The boss threatens him that she will destroy his career, and Wesley answers politely. He tells all the truth about her and how the whole group laughs. Behind her back, he does real emotional damage. Then he grabs his keyboard and goes away. Barry calls him a man with balls and wants to give him a high five, but Wesley smashes his face with a computer for screwing his girlfriend. Excited, he leaves the building and sees newspapers with the stories about his yesterday's adventure in the store. Fox picks him up, and he happily jumps into her car. The girl brings him to the weave factory. At first, Wesley thinks that this mill serves only as a cover, but as it turns out, they are indeed master weavers and run this business expertly. They call themselves the Fraternity of Weavers. When Wesley walks up to the work cafe, he realizes that they're the real weavers. He says he doesn't want to go back to his old life, and Sloan puts Fox in charge of training him. Then the training starts. They tie him to a chair and start to beat him. Asked why he came here, he doesn't understand what they want from him and just says that it's definitely not to be beaten in the face. Then the battered guy is brought before a butcher who tries to train him in knife fighting. They don't spare Wesley at all, and he gets badly hurt. He wakes up in a bath full of wax. A guy nicknamed Exterminator is working on his recovery and says that these are special rejuvenation showers to help his pain. The man gives Wesley booze, and he immediately understands that the man is Russian liquor. Yeah, are you Russian? Yeah. Gun training also takes place in an unusual way. Wesley has to learn to fire bent bullets, not only with a straight course. Such an interesting work repeats day in, day out. He's beaten to a pulp, then healed. Eventually, another body of a fraternity member is brought. It's the work of Cross, who cuts them one by one, according to Sloan only. Wesley can stop him a bit later. Fox asks the guy to catch a shuttle that moves at a great speed inside the moving loom. He tells her to put a gun to his head to trigger his response, but Fox says that he has to learn to control himself. Wesley fails and just hurts his hand during the healing process. The Russian shows him a trick with a rat. He mounts a small explosive device on a mouse and leads it to a safe place With peanut butter, the rat bursts. The man says Wesley's father loved that trick. The guy asks if he's okay and what they've done to him since he acts. Somewhat weird, meanwhile, Fox Climb comes out from the close bathroom and tells Wesley to follow her to the training. This time she starts to beat him to a pulp herself and asks the same question: why he's here and why he's wasting her time. Finally, Wesley gives the only right answer. He wants to know who he really is. He is brought to Sloane, who tells him about his father, saying that he was the best of them, and shows his things in room. Wesley puts on his father's jacket and decides to measure up to him at all costs. His training now becomes important, as his goal is to revenge his father. All difficulties seem insignificant to him. He easily stands any bullying and absorbs loads of information about his enemy. He trains day and night with the passion of the Shaolin priest. He makes short work of the knife master. The teacher who beats him broke his bones against Wesley's head. Then came Wesley's turn to beat him up. The only thing he couldn't handle was to stop a bullet. Fox decides to help him with this and stands before the body to motivate the guy. Feeling huge responsibility, Wesley manages to curve the bullet around her head and hits the 10 ring. Now it's time for his first task. Sloane leads him to the loom. It turns out that they learned the names of their targets from the cloth made by the loom of fate their ancestors from the club deciphered. A secret code that lets changing thread errors into a binary sequence, which is then used to make up the names. Wesley gets the name of his first target. Fox is following him on this mission, riding on the train roof. They approach the goal, but Wesley can't fire. He closes his eyes and remembers their conversation with Fox a day earlier. He asked her how it was possible to take someone's life by order of some fabric. Fox then told him the story of the little girl whose father was a judge, ethical and incorruptible. At some point, he was dealing with a case of a high-profile crime. The defendant wanted some other judge and sent a killer named Max Patrick to his house. This killer burned his victims alive and forced their family to watch it after, which he carved his names on their bodies so that they would never forget this horror. When Fox joined the fraternity, she found out that the loom revealed Max Patrick's name a few days before the death of the judge, and one of the members had failed to pull the trigger. That is why the fraternity's motto is kill one and save 1,000. Are you enjoying this video? Click subscribe. You would be helping me continue to create more sexy movie recaps just like this for you. Wesley opens his eyes and decides to kill the businessman by firing a bent bullet. He gets one task after another, and each time he hopes that Cross's name will come up on a new mission. He can't kill a businessman on his own while the target is moving in a protected vehicle. Then Fox helps him by setting up a racing car as a springboard by making a flip above the car. The young Padawan manages to shoot the target through the open sunroof. After the job, they go to Wesley's house to grab the gun hidden in the toilet. Seems like his friend Barry now lives in his apartment with Wesley's girlfriend. Wesley knocks out Barry by practicing a May Gary on the door and heads straight to the toilet while his girlfriend throws muck at him. Fox gets tired of hearing her screaming and decides to improve the status of the guy. In the eyes of his ex, she gives Wesley an intense kiss and the couple leaves. Barry tells Wesley in his wake he's a man. Wesley on the street. When Fox went to steal a car, Wesley sees Cross. He opens fire, but Cross manages to repel Wesley's shot with his bullet. The chase after Cross starts with other members of the fraternity joining at an abandoned building site. Wesley accidentally shoots killer while he stands shocked by his mistake. Cross shoots a curved bullet from around the corner, hitting the guy's shoulder. Wesley wakes up in the recovery room. He sees how they are trying to save the Russian bro, but fail. An exterminator dies. Luckily, the bullet removed from his shoulder is the first one that can be traced. It was made by Pikorsky. He works at a convent in Eastern Arabia. The fraternity sees that this is a specially prepared trap, and they don't want him to go alone, but Wesley manages to show them that he's ready. Finally, Sloane gives him the paint with Cross's name on it. When Wesley leaves, Sloane gives Fox the board with Wesley's name and tells her to kill him when he's done with Cross, the guy gets at the convent, and found Pecorski, the man, pretends to be running, but then he tries to lure Wesley into a trap. Fortunately, Fox, who was watching Wesley, arrives to his aid. Wesley shows the bullet and asks where they can find the owner. Pecorski vows to arrange a meeting with him. He brings them to the train stop. Pecorski is ready for Cross, while Fox and Wesley sit in ambush. Suddenly, the old man starts to run away. The couple chases him down with his side. Vision Wesley sees Cross in the car. He jumps on the train while Fox follows. Pecorski, the train leaves, and Fox realizes that Wesley is now face to face with Cross. She takes an old Soviet car from an old couple. Pecorski calls Cross and says that Wesley is on the train on his own. Cross grabs the guy and wants to tell him something, but Fox tries to catch up with the high-speed train and her rusty shitbox, which is obviously tuned, and opens fire on Cross. A fight breaks out in the train, while Cross only repels shots fired at him. The Fox's hoop tie rams the train, after which the train derails and hangs on the bridge like a sausage. Wesley almost fell into the abyss, but Cross managed to grab him, giving his life. The guy shoots his enemy, and the whole car falls off and gets stuck in the gorge before he's death. Cross tells Wesley that he is his father, and the group lied to him. All the time, Wesley asks Fox if it's true, and she confirms Cross's words. Wesley is the only one. Cross would not kill the other members, just couldn't get to him. The guy learns that his name was also exposed by the loom and manages to flee from Fox by shooting the glass. He falls into the river together with his father's body. Wesley wakes up in the recovery bath in the house across the street from his old home. The guy hears his girlfriend telling her gal on the phone how disturbed she is by tricking away such a great guy. Pecorski tells how his father was always around and watched his life. He didn't want his son to take this terrible road and tried to keep him from meeting with the fraternity of weavers. Pecorski gives him a piece of fabric with Sloane's name. It turns out that the machine revealed his name, and Sloane hid this. Cross learned that Sloane began to use the deciphered codes for his own selfish goals, so he left the group and promised to destroy it. Wesley finds a secret path. In the closet there in the secret room are lots of bombs for rats and a full plan of the fraternity's base building. Wesley goes to the shop and buys a horseload of peanut butter. Using it, he draws rats into a garbage truck. He breaks into the building and releases his explosive rats. When the rats have done their job, he bursts into the building, killing everyone in sight. He's using his guns like leading a symphony, the musicians with it. At the most unsuitable moment, he has to fight the butcher, who is a surprisingly tough opponent, but Wesley gets to put a honing steel in his chest. Finally, he gets to Sloane. Wesley is surrounded by the surviving fighters, including Fox. Wesley tells them that Sloane was afraid and hid the loom's choice, after which he planned to remove the only witness. Cross. The fraternity members demand their leader to explain this. Sloane shows them the folder with the names deciphered from the painting. All members of the fraternity are among them. He says that they can keep following the loom's orders blindly, but in this case, they should all put a bullet in their heads, or they could let it all go, kill Wesley, and rule the world using their skills. After that, he leaves, letting the members reflect. All fighters decide to follow Sloane and kill Wesley except True, believing Fox, who fires a bullet in a circle, killing all of them, including herself. Wesley tries to follow Sloane, but he vanished into thin air. Lost and exhausted, he walks to the ATM and learns that his account is empty. A few days later, in Wesley's office, everything goes as if nothing ever happened. Sloane sneaks up on Wesley with the glitcher M712. The guy turns around, and we see that it's not Wesley, but just a bait. He looks down and sees the Professor X mark under his feet. The nice, vintage-looking bullet pierces Sloane's head. Backwards move shows us the full direction of the bullet, which flew through the boss's donut and entered Barry's energy drink. The bullet was fired from the house of Wesley's father. Did you enjoy the video? Click subscribe. You would be helping me continue to create more sexy movie recaps just like this for you. Now click this video to enjoy another daily sexy movie recap. You won't want to miss out on its shocking and satisfying ending. Frankenstein's protection system and weaponry do not work, so Joe rides shotgun with him and his female navigator. Frankenstein proposes that his navigator evacuate before the vehicle is destroyed after feeling a heavy onslaught from Joe. Joe destroys Frankenstein's automobile with a rocket, and then we meet the movie's main character. After being frustrated by the factory's low wages, Jensen Ames and his co-workers protested. 2 truckloads of SWAT teams arrived and beat the workers. Ames became enraged and attacked the police officers. After Ames returns to his wits, he finds his wife dead, a knife in his grasp, and himself detained by police for suspected murder. The masked guy gives him a nasty look and makes a shooting motion with his gloved hand. 6 months later, Ames is transferred to Terminal Island Prison, where the stern guard Ulrich showers him with cold water before leading him to his cell. Ames easily defeats his cellmates once the guards depart. Ames is bullied again the next day. Are you enjoying this video? Click that sexy subscribe button. And one prisoner spits on his meal. Win the race and release him. Hennessy claims Frankenstein is a fan favorite and has won 4 death races, but Ames refuses to run. If Ames refuses, Hennessy threatens to imprison him. Ames reluctantly meets his coach, who will guide him throughout the race with Hennessy. Ames then meets with the gunner and names the other 2 squad members, who assist in modifying the race automobile with advanced armament and defensive gear. The coach then shows Ames his customized racing vehicle and explains how the offensive and defensive devices activate after a specific number of levels in the game. He then advises Ames against trying a jail escape, since the facility is under continual CCTV monitoring, and the only way out is over a tiny bridge that is strongly secured. Ames is taken to Hennessy's office the day before the race and handed Frankenstein's mask to wear. The coach informs the driver that the race has 3 stages, and the driver must survive stages 1 and 2 to compete in stage 3. The winner escapes after 3 phases. Before stage 1, Ames meets his navigator, Elizabeth Case, who is Frankenstein's navigator. Case helps Ames acclimate to the automobile. After the race starts, drivers must drive over symbols to activate their car's offensive and defensive systems, but they can't. Joe Ames finishes stage 1 in last place, while 3 other drivers are eliminated in the following scene. He confronts Hennessy about Pachenko and refuses to race in stage 2. Hennessy shows him pictures of his daughter with her foster parents and asks if he wants to see her again. Ames follows Pachenko to his team's garage and confronts him about his wife's murder, but other team members capture him and beat him down. Lists arrives and stabs Pachenko with a pen. Ames retaliates and almost kills Pachenko. The prison guards intervene and suggest the drivers save their anger for stage 2, the Ne. Hearing this, Ames understands that no matter how well he does, he will never leave. He accelerates forward and catches up with the other racers, chases Pachenko, and picks the weapon option, then overtakes and shoots him with remarkable foresight. The injured Pachenko is murdered in the middle of the track by a fast neck hit from Ames, who broke the death race regulations by stopping his car and getting out. Hennessy orders her secret weapon vehicle to destroy the Dreadnought, furious. The Dreadnought's presence terrifies the racers, who are shot, burned, and missileed until their cars explode. The Dreadnought shoots bullets, missiles, and rotating drills that penetrate racer cabins. Joe offers to work with Ames throughout the race. They divert the Dreadnought and lead it to the hazardous weapon, where the sharp metal bars emerge from the track and crush it. Afraid he knows her intentions after viewing Ames' outstanding racing performance, Hennessy orders Ulrich to blast Ames' car to remove him from the championship race. The following day, Ulrich puts a bomb under Ames' truck as Hennessy distracts the convicts with a speech. Ames views a video of a damaged billboard from a prior race and decides to speak to Joe. Joe and Ames tweak their cars in the final stretch. Joe has mounted lethal missiles on his vehicle case, while Ames has added a half-gallon of gas. Joe then informs Ames that he has gotten his release papers and that Hennessy has visited her to make him lose the race. Ames promises Joe he will not obey Hennessy's orders. Hennessy utilizes Joe's rocket function to get an edge over Ames during the second lap. Joe shoots at the billboard obstructing the jail escape path, forcing it to crumble and enabling him and Ames to escape. Hennessy instantly cuts the live broadcast and tells her cops to pursue and arrest the racers. She also fails to trigger the explosives beneath Ames' vehicle. The coach and other team members had already taken it out before the race began elsewhere, with helicopters and police vehicles chasing the fleeing couple. Ames releases the extra half-gallon of fuel and causes a huge explosion in the middle of the road, preventing the police from following them. The duo decides to separate, making the helicopters follow only his Ames since he is driving like Frankenstein and is their most valuable asset. The group then initiates the third plan, which involves Ames exchanging seats with her if she says she is ready and he has her release papers. Hennessy is surprised to see the bomb she hid beneath Frankenstein's vehicle when Ulrich sends a gift and congratulations cards to her workplace. The explosive explodes instantaneously, killing them. Coaches press detonators elsewhere. After 6 months, Joe and Ames had a successful Mexican garage. Ames regains custody of his daughter, and Case unexpectedly visits to congratulate them on their new life. At the film's end, Ames acknowledges he is not the greatest parent, but no one loves their kid more than him. Did you enjoy the video? Click that sexy subscribe button. Now click this video. Don't miss its shocking and sexy ending.
Hi, sexy. Come and watch till the end. Was a soldier on duty in Kenya when he got a word that a group of armed men had taken over a building. Apparently, it was also a delicate hostage situation. Ray knew it was going to be dangerous, but he didn't let that stop him from getting the job done. He stood by the door while his squad mates took cover behind him. Then suddenly chaos broke loose. The bad guys inside started shooting at them through the door. The officer in charge gave Ray an order: hold off on the breach. But instead of following orders like a good little soldier, Ray did something incredible. He threw a flashbang into their hideout, toggled his aimbot, and rushed inside. He shot every last one of those bad guys with pinpoint precision before making his way up to find the hostage. Once there, the bad guy demanded a helicopter. Ray obliged. But if he was going to call one in, he needed a phone, so the guy helpfully pointed one out with the shotgun. With the hostage now safe for just a moment, Ray springs into action, whipping out his Glock and taking care of business with the hostage secured. Ray looks down and finds he is wounded. Darn, and he almost got the no damage taken achievement too. When Ray came home from his mission, he was ready to see his wife and told his fellow soldiers that right there was what they were fighting for. Yes, his wife specifically, and he was ready to embrace her. His wife was a beauty, and they immediately celebrated his return with her. The next morning, Ray woke up alone and confused. Relatable. He fell around in the bed until he found a note that said, "I'm going out for breakfast." Ray washed up in the bathroom, then heard something coming from outside. Armed men broke into his room and spotted Ray's reflection through the mirror. They rushed in, but he fooled them with the old bathroom mirror. Bamboozled Bunny and said they all proceeded to fight in an awfully cut chaotic sequence. To cap it off, this guy punches Ray in the arm. It's not very effective. Then he stumbles out of his room in search of his wife, Gina. He bumps into an innocent-looking guy, but then gets all woozy and collapses. The now not-so-innocent guy looms over Ray holding a needle. When Ray awoke, he had no idea where he was. He just knew that his hands were tied behind his back, and the room he was in was not friendly for vegans. Then a man appeared at the back of the room, the same man. He dons a tricked-out outfit before dancing towards him. Smooth. The man asked him who told him about the hostages in his previous mission, but Ray stays silent. So to up the stakes a little, the man brings out today's guest, Ray's wife. Now Ray is a bit more talkative, but still has nothing substantial to say. He claims he doesn't know, and just goes where his supporters tell him to. The man ends up believing. Ray relief wash over his face. But then, never mind, rip in peace. Ray is livid. But then he too goes to sleep forever until he wakes up again in a futuristic lab. Ray's eyes fluttered open, and he was overwhelmed with the unnecessary but cool lighting scheme of the room. He spots a woman, and her chest is more eye-catching than the usual variety. Later, Ray fully comes to and is visited by Dr. Emil Harding, and his assistant is the woman he already met, Katie. The doctor breaks the news Ray died. But they brought him back to suffer more in the land of the living. He doesn't believe it for a second, but when asked what his name is, he can't even remember. Emil is giving Ray a tour of the facility here. They create robotic tech for the military like bionic limbs and exoskeletons. He gestures to a room full of machines that look like they belong in a laboratory from a sci-fi movie. Oh wait, Dr. Harding states that Ray is the greatest creation yet. Then he cuts Ray's hand with his cable, but only to demonstrate the remarkable capabilities of the nanites inside him. Not gonna lie, he had us in the first half. Ray looks down at his hand in awe. The nanites move around like insects, working swiftly to repair his skin. Not so much as a scar is left behind, but his emotional damage is still hurting. Dr. Harding implores him to forget the past and consider the possibilities of the future. In his case, he lost his arm to cancer and with it his career in tennis, so he invented robo-arms instead, which is way cooler. Right after Dr. Harding takes ready to meet some other enhanced soldiers who are just as weird as he is. One of them has bionic eyes on his chest, and the other has bionic legs that help him run really fast. And of course there's Katie, who can breathe through a hole in her chest. Weird flex. But okay, instead of feeling inspired by all this, Ray comments that they're all a bunch of wounded soldiers, damaged goods. He goes up to his room to sleep and has nightmares about his wife. The memories are slowly coming back. Ray wakes up and decides to channel his frustration into something productive. He goes to the gym to blow off some steam, but instead of punching a bag, he punches through it. He's pretty proud of this new ability, but then realizes that he can't really use it effectively in a boxing match because you kill the other guy. So instead he tries out his new power on a concrete column, using it as a punching bag. The concrete begins cracking under the force of his blows. Ray busts out some more combos that doesn't look very safe. Ray finishes with a fantastic set of curls for the females. And just on cue, Katie swims next to him and does underwater karate, which looks nice but is not really useful in fighting. After drinking, a low pulsing sound fills the room. Katie grimly stares at a device on the wall, and Ree starts having vivid flashbacks of his wife and starts speaking the same words he did when he lost her. He snaps out of it, but now he knows what he needs to do: escape the facility and seek revenge on Martin X, the man who clapped his wife. But Dr. Harding would not let him. "Your body belongs to me," he told Ray through his built-in brain Bluetooth. An interesting choice of words. Ray says, "No, I do what I want." And with that, he used his cybernetic abilities to hack Martin's location, and then he stole a plane, and then he downloaded the flight manual to his brain, and finally he set this truck on a collision course for Martin for no reason other than it looks cool. The truck was filled with flour. Ray emerges and fires at Martin's car. The bulletproof glass is unfazed, but Ray is not. He gets popped and collapses to the ground, but not before placing a thermite canister in the car. It melts into the engine, disabling it. Ray recovers with his nanobot powers and bestows a beat down on Martin's henchman. He bends this guy's arms backwards, and even Martin is like, "Whoa, that wasn't called for." Meanwhile, Barton calls his buddy, and it seems like they were expecting this attack. As prepared as they were, they still underestimated the power of family. Ray returns from his vengeance mission and is picked up by his fellow warriors. He tells Katie he did what he had to do and is done. Katie claims she is too confused. Ray asks. Dalton blows up Ray's car, and they all walk away from the explosion without looking back because it is cooler that way. We cut to the lab, where Ray tries to get up, but has his motor functions disabled. Dalton proceeds with an expositional dump about the true nature of this arrangement. You see, he hates having to be Ray's babysitter, but this is always his favorite part. He leans into Ray's ear and tells him that Gina is alive. Ray cannot respond, but his eyes. Dalton says they use Ray's vengeance to kill their targets. He is basically a deadly wind-up toy soldier as his memory is wiped. We pan over to Dr. Harding, and he confronts Katie for going off script when she said, "I am done too." We learn that if she leaves this facility, her breathing gets turned off. She is reminded that this is the choice she made, but she just wishes Ray had a choice too. Katie is dismissed. Ray escapes again to kill his latest victim, Nick Barris. Dr. Harding and the others act out their lines, but Dalton gets tired of the repetition, representing the audience, speeding things up. Ray heads to Nick's fortified compound and plays dead. Then they let him in. Nick speaks with his tech guy, Wiggins, who has a device that will save the day, but Nick's not a great boss. He kidnapped Wiggins and forced him to work for free, so Wiggins is sparse on details on how to use the device, which we soon learn as an M. Ray closes in, but the bullets are no match for his. Ray kills Nick as he waits for the M to power up. Dr. Harding is glad the alarm did not go off and his last challenge has been overcome, or has it? The EMP goes boom, the lights go out for a mile, and Wiggins zaps Ray back to life. I am sorry, as Wiggins explains that he is on his side. Ray recalls all the males who cheered for his wife and realizes that Dr. Harding is his ultimate goal. Ray sends Wiggins a sample of nanite to reverse engineer, and then he gets in a vintage whip that cannot be followed. He finds his wife and greets her, but his reality is gone. Jenna went on and had her own family, so Ray disappeared bewildered. Ray leaves and starts driving through the city when an armored truck rams into him. So much for no tracking. The super soldier friends have turned to foes and hunted him down. Well, actually, Dalton kind of always was a jerk. Dalton takes off with great speed while Ivy uses drones to get a bird's eye view. Once Dalton catches up, he blasts Ray with anti-nanite bullets that turn Ray's beefy python arm into a little noodle in retaliation. Katie submits that she makes it over to Wiggins' hideout and knocks him out with sleeping smoke, then proves equality is real by beating up these grown men back in the lab. Ray chats with Dr. Harding in a virtual construct, and then we get a solid 30-second flex of this movie's VFX budget. Very cool. Now that all of Harding's targets are gone, Ray will have his nanites extracted and sold off. While Katie returns from her mission and Dalton rubs it in that they caught, she invades Ray's fake memories, discloses the reality, and signals Wiggins to take over. She kept them to herself. He fights the other man and wins, freeing her. Ray headed for Harding, but Dalton and Tin have something to say about it. They gear up with their new drip and continue with an anxiety-inducing elevator battle till they beat Ray and he falls off the building, just joking. Ray and Tibbs fall again as Dalton slides down with his bionic arms and breaks the lines. Tibbs begs him to stop, but all he cares about is taking Ray down. Sadly, Tibbs falls due to gravity. Then Ray defies gravity and launches himself towards Dalton, sending them both plummeting down during freefall. Ray powers up by overclocking his nanites, loses his cool tan, and gets some RGB lighting in his chest instead. Then he turbo punches Dalton, rip in peace. Ray's vitals are surging through the roof, so Wiggins urges him to retreat, but he has unfinished business. Ray keeps marching, so Harding throws a grenade at him, scattering the nanites. As Harding prepares to fire again, Ray's cloud of nanites dismantles the round before it reaches him, but he is out of juice. Harding claims victory, but not so fast. Ray's holding the explosive, he drops it, and it lands perfectly. Imagine if it did not land perfectly. He definitely does not survive this. On the contrary, days later, Ray wakes up next to Wiggins, completely healed and memory intact. It turns out they managed to bring him back to life for a second time using the nanites and even added some bonus stamina points. This time, having completed the main quest and reached max level. The end. See you later, sexy. Hi, sexy. Come and watch till the end. Mia kicks Samantha out of her room when the party ends. She invites a gentleman and asks Samantha to return after 2 hours. Samantha agrees, astonished. She watches TV in the living room when 2 men approach. They invite her to their yearly plunge in a swimsuit. Samantha gladly accepts the offer. She starts school tomorrow. All the students gaze at her there. One of the men makes a joke after the lecturer begs them to focus. Samantha relaxes when everyone laughs. Samantha chases the gentleman after class and praises him for saving her. He leaves after chatting with her. Samantha warms to him. Mia suddenly joins her and tells her the man is incredibly good-looking and that she should date him. Samantha laughs and they leave. They attend the plunge, a frat party. Mia enters with style. She merges fast. Samantha sits in a corner staring at everyone, feeling out of place. The president's entrance song plays, and a number of males dance in front of her. They move seductively, shocking. Samantha. Mia is furious as everyone applauds. She dislikes Samantha's attention even when she is doing nothing. One person has a pistol. Bach and his squad instantly attack him. Some bodyguards take Samantha while others interrogate the guy. He had a water cannon all along. Samantha storms to her father's office after this. She does not care if everyone is shocked by her little swimming suit. Liz attempts to soothe her, but Samantha wants to see the president. He is busy when Liz goes to fetch him. Samantha threatens to flee forever. Liz informs the president Samantha is unhappy. He eventually leaves his conference to see his daughter. After seeing Samantha in such scant attire, he acts normal and says nothing. Samantha moans about everything when she sees him. She says she cannot establish friends because of the Secret Service agents following her. The time. Her father encourages her to bear it since the election is coming and her life may be in jeopardy. Samantha yells in frustration and leaves. President Mackenzie grants her request after realizing how much this has affected her. Samantha squeals as Liz delivers the good news. She returns to her room relieved. The following day, Samantha just has two security who follow her from afar. Samantha and Mia pass a large demonstration against President Mackenzie. The leader claims the Mackenzie family is affluent and only understands how to run away from issues. Samantha declines the argument. Samantha says they have free speech when Mia invites her to talk. Mia scoffs and takes her away to have fun. On a slide, Samantha doubts Mia's advice to have fun. Mia leaps and slides down the slope while everyone cheers. Sam is inspired. She meets the person she thanked previously. She and James introduce themselves again. Mia slides down after James and Sam leave on the ramp. Everyone has fun. Liz calls Samantha the following morning, enraged. Sam's leaping and sliding images became viral. Liz scolds Sam for his irresponsibility and claims the president is furious. After hearing that, Mia rolls her eyes and urges Sam to hang up, but Sam persists on talking to her father. Mia grabs the phone as Samantha's father chastises her for abusing her independence. She lectures President Mackenzie about parenting. He ignores her, anger and manipulates her. Mia is thrilled when he appreciates her charisma. She hangs up smiling pleased. After Samantha laughs, Mia says the president is excellent at his job. Reporters question Sam the following day. Protesters yell at her too. While Samantha flees upstairs, Bach and Dylan struggle to keep the media away. She knocks on the door and begs Mia to allow her in, but receives no answer. Desperate, she goes into the RA's room and sees James. He is RA James' plans once Samantha informs him about the protests. He requests her wear his huge sweater and headgear. She agrees immediately. The hoodie and hat conceal them, and they flee. Protesters and Bach do not recognize Samantha. They chat at a pizza establishment, puff, laugh, and jest. Sam knows she likes James. She re-sniffs his hoodie. They then compete in IQ. They trade fascinating information and are equally gifted. This continues until an elderly woman approaches. She requests a photo with Sam, the president's daughter. Samantha enables her, but the media soon discovers her. James tugs her away as they chase her for a photo. To avoid the journalists, the two run through narrow streets. They enter a cinema. They are unrecognizable since it is dark. Samantha says she has never had so much fun, and James urges her to violate the rules more. Samantha's affections for him grow while they watch the movie. Samantha prefers hiding in James' room at night, while her guards stand outside. They converse about beautiful things all night. Sam tells Mia everything in the morning. She says she likes James but is not sure whether he does. Maya writes a letter to James requesting to meet under Sam's identity to find out. Sam is delighted and thinks about him. Friday night, students start a massive campus bonfire. Mia and Sam attend expecting James. James is absent from a massive celebration. Samantha tells Mia that he probably felt awful for her and does not like her, but Mia reassures her that he simply needs time and would come around. Mia stares and smiles at a man. Samantha wonders what is up, and Mia says she has loved that guy since middle school. They went to school together, so she eventually asked him out. She is scared since he reciprocated. Sam congratulates Mia as he approaches. He talks to Samantha instead of Mia. Mia flees in pain. Samantha feels bad as the gentleman chases Mia to chat to her. Mia immediately arranges a massive party in her room. Mia giggles while her buddies tease Samantha. She scrawls on Sam's family photo. Samantha arrives in time. She had fun, but notices Mia doodling. Family photographs. Mia informs her this is not functioning when she asks. She says Sam is nothing remarkable and only receives attention because of her father. Sam calms her, but Mia becomes angrier. She urges Samantha to speak out instead of blindly obeying commands. Thus they fight. The dispute escalates into yelling. Mia runs into her room and closes the door as Samantha takes the images and leaves. James discovers Sam sleeping outdoors on the sofa the following morning. He awakens her and asks what happened. Samantha acknowledges that her status screwed people up. Sighing, she says her life will never be normal. James assures her that is okay. Sam nods as he apologizes for not meeting her. She mocks her inactivity. Samantha blushes as James jumps. James asks her out, and they slip out of the campus without her guards to date. They discuss their experiences in a lakeside boat. James eventually tells Sam that his father has never been proud of him, and all he has done is satisfy him. Samantha understands James, and their date goes well. They visit a neighboring amusement park at night. Samantha says she likes him and can be herself with James. James returns her sentiments, and they play games. James gives Sam a gift after winning a match. She is glad James defeated her and did not let her win only to satisfy her. Sam recognizes James' tiny actions to make her smile all night. They return to their dormitories once the day concludes. They nervously stroll through the corridor. After chatting, they split. Samantha feels left out. She approaches James and shouts out. James turns and she kisses him. Sam rushes to her room after they say goodnight. She eagerly informs Mia she kissed James with her eyes closed. She wakes up to Mia kissing a man. Sam apologizes for the commotion and starts to go, but Mia urges her to remain. Mia begs him to go and hugs Samantha tightly. Samantha apologizes for her annoyance and smiles. She tells Mia she realizes how difficult living with her is. Mia laughs and takes her. An energetic girl answers her door knock. After seeing Sam, the girl screams and squeals. Linda, Mia's initial roommate, is the girl. Linda stops them and plays her trombone. Samantha and Mia stare uneasily. Linda laughs and cries nonstop. She plays trombone constantly. Samantha and Mia exchange knowing glances and express their gratitude for finding one another. Roommates reconnect. Samantha approaches Liz for help the next morning. Locke and Dylan invite Mia and James. They are puzzled. Sam appears in front of a massive plane. Samantha grins at their questions. All three board the aircraft when she invites them. Guards surround them as they enter. Charles commands them. Charles brings them to a private aircraft room to meet their wants. Mia flirts with Charles quickly, laughing. Samantha praises Mia and James for being patient inside. Mia's nails are painted by Marjorie. James feels embarrassed seeing so many people racing about him. Samantha tells him their location is a surprise. They arrive and meet world-famous designer Vera Wang. Samantha informs James that a tuxedo will suit him. Finally ready, the three attend a ball. Press hounds them there. James feels awkward while Mia enjoys the attention. Samantha rushes to her parents as they enter the huge ballroom. James salutes as Mia enthusiastically meets the president and first lady. James interrupts Samantha's boyfriend introduction and welcomes them. Sam's parents leave to welcome visitors after meeting her pals. Samantha is outraged but shrugs it off. She takes James dancing. James requests a private conversation and Sam agrees. Samantha is transfixed by him as he asks what she is doing. She enjoys everyone glancing at them. Sam resists James' invitation to talk privately. Two elegantly dance. Sam says she has always wanted to do this. She is finally doing what she wants. James joins in. The room is awestruck by the young pair. President Mackenzie then speaks on stage. Party starts with clapping. Dancing and joy ensue. Even James appears more relaxed. Mia likes her date. Sam answers press inquiries at the conclusion, but demonstrators attack her. A huge automobile smashes dangerously near to her, causing mayhem. James grabs Sam and dashes inside the ballroom. He drives her to a hidden chamber with a vehicle. James informs Samantha that they have already abducted Mia. Help her. James grabs his walkie-talkie and puts her in the vehicle. At that moment, Samantha understands everything was a lie. James was only a covert agent. She is heartbroken because everything she thought was normal was phony. Finally led home, her dad wonders whether she is alright. Samantha had enough. She attacks him, saying she feels ashamed for being so stupid and clueless. President Mackenzie apologizes, saying he did everything to protect her. He informs her that he receives hundreds of threats against her every day and cannot let anything happen to his daughter. Sam cries. As her father urges her not to worry, she cries. If she wants, he will remove James. Samantha cares for James but is frustrated because no one has been honest with her. She does not want him fired. She tells her father James can remain. Samantha returns home, unhappy. Mia awaits her. She tells her everything, even how no one has loved her for being Samantha, not the president's daughter. James likes her, Mia says. He loved her despite working. Samantha considers it dumb and says James did that to persuade her. Mia's idea follows. To make James jealous, she suggests Sam date someone else. If he does, people will know he really likes Sam. Samantha acts normal the next day. She is not upset. James, like her guardians, stands close to her. James praises Samantha for not firing him after he deceived her as she eats lunch. Sam nods dismissively. James says he regrets tricking her, but Sam puts on her earbuds and insists everything is okay. She then does everything to make him envious. He watches Samantha go on many dates. She attempts to demonstrate James she is unaffected. She meets a man in a provocative attire one night. She becomes drunk and flirts with her date. James asks Bach and Dylan to take her, but they refuse. Samantha then dances madly on a table. Mia senses Sam's mental state and begs Bach to remove her. James feels irritated when they do nothing. He strikes the cheerleader and takes Samantha. He rejects Sam's pleas to put her down. James encourages her to behave when she says she no longer trusts him. He wants to work correctly. James assures her she is not like this after the catastrophe makes him furious. His Sam was not her. Samantha says she is alone. James brings her to her dorm without responding. He kisses her forehead and puts her on the bed before departing. Samantha hates this. She scolds him for acting. She says he can stop lying. James tells her she is great and leaves, but Sam stops him. She says he harmed her deeply. James expresses himself. He says he has nothing for her. He says that she is not his. Samantha rolls her eyes and wonders what would have happened if she had been an average girl. Samantha continues asking James, who evades. He says he would have liked her if she were an average girl. She never will be. James says he cannot help liking her. This response stuns Samantha. Reporters crowd Sam's dorm the following morning. She received non-stop calls from Liz after her dance on the table became viral. Mia answers all calls as Samantha sleeps. After waking up, she apologizes to Mia. Mia praises her crazy dancing and offers her the phone. Liz chases Samantha when she answers the phone. The president refuses to talk to her father. He refuses to speak to her. Multiple Sam and James news stories circulate. Sam visits James but finds him replaced. Her agency was new. This disappoints and guilts her. Sam takes her morning class, James absent. Her and James are constantly discussed, which bothers her tremendously. She runs to clear her brain, but breaks down crying midway through the track. Her condition saddens the guardians. Sam comes home to discover her mother seated on her bed. Her mother informs her that her little table dance definitely swayed the voting and attempts to explain that Sam always needs to act with elegance and class since that is their life. Sam protests, but her mother shuts her off. She says she will not quarrel or fight. The First Lady orders Sam to quit college immediately and join the campaign. Sam had no option but to agree. She returns home and tries to appear normal, but it is not. Her parents no longer talk to her, and their pleasant activities are gone. She joins the campaign and pretends they are the ideal family. After Samantha leaves college, James is furious. His recklessness jeopardizes his employment, so a board of officers questions him. They insult him and question why he should keep his job. James defends himself, but the board blasts him for jeopardizing Samantha's life. James is suspended and urged to consider other jobs since he may lose his. Sam regains her composure and acts pleased in one advertising. President Mackenzie approaches. He says he understands she is sad but cannot assist her right now. Sam must then behave maturely. Samantha rebels against her father. She says she has fulfilled all their wishes. After understanding they needed her, she quit college and joined him. Sam replies that he must stop stalking her if he wants her to behave like an adult. She leaves. She is correct, and the president calms down. He is glad she is speaking out, but watching his daughter in misery breaks his heart. After being suspended, James drives home as the president and First Lady finally campaign on stage. He is obsessed with Sam. The president thinks over his daughter's words at home. She is usually around him, but no one's asked her what she wants. After that, he pays more attention to Sam and sometimes seeks her opinion. He brings her a chocolate cake, and they eat it together. Sam asks her dad to check on James. After agreeing, the president asks her whether she loved him. Samantha grins and says she loves being herself with him. She assured him she could enjoy him without worrying about her reputation. Samantha's dad pays attention. Sam says she loves James, and her father grins. Sam's father wins re-election. Everyone applauds this good news. A massive Mackenzie family celebration is held. Samantha and President Mackenzie dance. Mia stands with her lover. She encourages Sam with music. Samantha tells her father she loves and feels at home with him while dancing. Emotional, her father kisses her cheeks. Samantha notices James behind her as he twirls her. He is in uniform again, shocking her. President Mackenzie leads James to the ballroom center and leaves. James approaches Samantha and clutches her waist. James dismisses Samantha's protests. He dances with her. Sam becomes free, and they forget everything else. Dance all night and find serenity. Liz and Bach grin. James apologizes for everything and gives her a key after the dance. He says the key will take her on her next vacation. Samantha is puzzled but accepts and says goodbye. James bids farewell and she leaves. Samantha flees the ballroom but regrets her error. James realizes he loves Sam at that moment. They chase each other. James initiates a passionate kiss as they stand face to face. Sam kisses back, and they get entangled. James guards President Mackenzie. Samantha departs after requesting that he take care of her father. Dylan informs James that Sam will return after spring break as she leaves. He bids James well in his new position and tells him not to fall for the president. Samantha contemplates James as she leaves the ballroom. She sees a little automobile ahead. Sam is thrilled since she has always desired a vehicle instead of huge ones driven by professional warriors. She drives to college excitedly. She discovered home after leaving home. Sam goes to college while James guards the white mansion and waits for her return. The end.